DSA, Leetcode, buzzwords, so much of things out there in the market, and people are discussing so many things. So I'll be sharing my own experience. Like, I have interviewed about 100 plus of data engineers. So I'll be giving you some of the tips and what actually matters right now in 2025 and how the interviews are happening, what companies are demanding in the data engineering role, what exactly happens, how you are getting interviewed, what all steps you have to keep in the mind. Those things we'll be discussing it. So basically I have divided this particular video into two major parts, that is what actually matters in the interviews, what interview skills you need firstly in data engineering. Next thing, what actually doesn't matter, what actually doesn't matter basically when you are going for an interview. If you are going for hundreds of the company, suppose you are going for 10 company or 100 company, mostly the chances of asking of these topics will be very very less. So not to give so much of focus on these topics. And also there will be some of the suggestion for a fresher, for an experienced person, for a person who is into a non-IT, want to get into this particular field. Those all suggestions also I'll be giving you. So please be with me till the last of the video, because I'll be discussing many of the tips, and it is all experience based. Whatever I have seen in this industry for about 4.5 years, more than 4.5 years it has been. I have guided more than 2500 people, and right now also I'm actively guiding many people. So definitely please follow these all aspects, otherwise you will miss out on those things. So let's start with the first thing, that is many people start with like in the previous videos I shared some of the tips, that is how much DSA is required, what all things are. If you have not seen those videos, please go and see it. It will help you a lot ki haan, exactly is DSA important or not, whether for data engineering, what all things to study, everything. You will be getting all your answers from that particular video. Go back and see, and definitely come back to this video. Second thing, basically what actually matters in the tech interviews basically in data engineering. Firstly, let me start with point to point way of things. That is what actually matters is firstly SQL. SQL is the core. If you don't know the fundamentals of it, basically how an index is working, what is normalization, how it is getting used into the basically concepts and all, how exactly it is happening. If we are writing a select query, if we are writing a from statement in that, if we are writing a where statement, if we are writing a window functions, how exactly the flow of execution starts, because many answers will come in the interviews related to that only. What actually a join does, how when we are joining two of the tables, what are the differences between all kinds of join, because there are many kinds of joins in that. There are union, distinct, union all. What does it like, how it is different from each other. Fundamentals are very very important. If you are not aware of those fundamentals, you will be lagging behind. Second thing is basically you need to, in the SQL itself, you need to be comfortable with how to writing a optimized code, because if you are going for a fresher also or for an experience also, the level of the question can be different, but the question will be what is optimization, how it can be applied to a query, what all things we have to keep in the mind when we want to write optimized query. This is what I ask with the people. So definitely you should practice like that, because majorly these are the real life scenarios, and in the real life when you will be working on the live projects, it will be used hundreds of the times. You have to work on those kind of projects, you have to work on those kind of things. If you are not aware with these things, it will be very difficult for you to clear off data engineering interviews. It is very important. Next thing is basically what are Windows functions, how it is used, what are different kinds of window functions, when to use what. If we are using Windows function, we are not making the things complex, we are not making the things much more performance degradation we are not doing, because the major concept is basically to write these queries or to write the optimized query to solve the question, to make the performance much better, not to degrade the performance. So that should be very clear in our mind. Second thing is basically Python is very important whenever you are going for the interviews basically, because real world usages, like your real world use case problem solving questions are very important. If you are not practicing that, it becomes very difficult for you to get through those kind of interviews. So be prepared with those kind of things. It is very very important how to write like automations, how to write automation scripts. Simple automation scripts can help you to make the projects move faster, much more faster, because in many projects I have been that catalyst that basically basically when the project is going slow, I come into those pictures and I have made the things easy, I have made the thing fast. Those all things I have done. So basically you have to be that skilled, you have to practice a lot, you have to use the Gen AI tools and all. Everything is very important. You have to have those kind of mindset. It is very important. Next thing is basically automation scripts. I have explained you. Pandas is very important. PySpark is very important. Next come the PySparks. In the PySpark, you should know firstly how a Spark, Apache Spark was working, how the working was there, what is Hadoop, how it was working, why Hadoop was replaced or MapReduce were replaced by the PySpark, how those things happened, how it was slow, now it is fast, how in-memory processing happens, how a distributed processing happens. Those all things you have to be clear of. And the architectural point of view, how a worker node works, how a executor works, those all things should be very, very clear whenever you are going for any kind of data engineering interviews, because it will be after SQL, it will be a very sweet spot. Sweet questions will be asked to you on these aspects of PySpark, Spark, how PySpark is made, as PySpark is an API of Python built on top of Apache Spark. So you should know those all things. And transformations, how to write, what are data frames, what are joins in this one, what are UDFs. Those all things you should be aware of. Like, it is very, very important. Next thing is basically like cloud basics. If you are working on any kind of cloud, it doesn't matter. Whenever I take interviews, there are a variety of the resume comes. Like, people are skilled in Databricks, people are skilled in AWS or Cloudera or any kind of cloud, GCP, Azure, any kind of cloud. But what matters is whatever the core skills are of cloud, that is data warehousing concept or a lakehouse concept or orchestration concept, anything, you should be aware of those all things. If you're not aware, that becomes a very difficult task for me to select you. So basically you should know those things, because for a data engineer it is demanded that you should know the cloud. If you're working on Databricks, you should be aware of lakehouse architecture, you should be aware of Medallion architecture, you should be aware of how a delta table works, how a delta lake works, how a data is stored. Or if you're working on Azure side, you should be aware of how ADF is orchestrating the things, or how to build a pipeline on ADF. Those all things should be aware. Or Synapse Analytics, how it works. Those all things you should be aware. Or if you are working on AWS side, you should be aware of what is Redshift, what is EC2, what is S3. These all things should be aware. Or if you are working on GCP side, you should be aware of what is BigQuery, what is Cloud Composer, what is Dataproc, what is these all tools you should be PubSub. These all tools you should be data flow. Next thing is basically data fusion is there. There are many tools out there, many services out there on different clouds. The names are different, but majorly the major chunk what are used in data engineering, like a data warehouse or a lake house, these all things you should be aware of. If you are not, it is very difficult for you to crack off those interviews. Next thing that matters a lot. Many times people get rejected in the second round, third round after clearing the technical round. That is communication skills and debugging skills, because these skills are very important whenever you are going for a senior level. Like, basically I am a senior data engineer, so I know basically how much it matters, because whenever you will go for the customer calls, whenever you will go for the leadership team calls, so at that point you should be very vocal about the things, you should be crystal clear about your points. That is how to explain those things and how to make the things very sorted. So those things are very, very important. Next thing, what doesn't matter is basically, or matters very less, that is firstly very perfect DSA. Perfect DSA is not at all required in data engineering. I'll be very blunt about this. Definitely, if you are aware about data structures, it will help you a lot to get through the industry, to get into a first job. But after some time, data engineering skills matters a lot, and that DSA is it will be important if you want to make some optimized system, if you want to make some good type of solutions. Those all things matters a lot. Some optimized solutions, those all things matters a lot. Next thing is basically, I see people making fancy resumes. It doesn't matter. I have made my own resume on a Word, like a Microsoft Word or Google Docs I have made. So basically you can also list down all your skills. You can make a ATS friendly resume. It doesn't matter how much beautiful it looks like, it doesn't matter. Okay, those all things are there. Certification, I have seen people taking certification without having the practical experience. So those all things also Practical experience doesn't means that you are having only the live project experience. Many people I have seen who are dedicated, I have also done those things, my students also do those things, they make personal projects, that also helps you in a practical learning aspects. So try to focus on those part more rather than just focusing on clearing of the certification, making the your badges and badges on the LinkedIn. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter so much. It should be much more important if you are having a good practical knowledge. That matters a lot. And after this, if you want to learn everything in practical, I have been guiding many students in my DataX Bootcamp. If you want the details of it, definitely in the description you can go. You can like I teach about data engineering from the scratch, from the zero. If you want to learn about data engineering, everything will be taught to you from the scratch, and also how to make the visibility in the market, how to get actual jobs. Those all things also I teach. So that was all about the video. Thank you so much for watching this particular video. Any doubts, any questions you have, please feel free to drop in the comments. I will be there to help you. Don't worry at all. And thank you so much for watching this. Please explore a lot. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. Bye bye.